Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Out. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, we are going to do a really quick recap on week 2 of the Diddy trial. Now, the prosecution has called a lot of witnesses to the stand so far. Week 2, even more so. And during week 2, the biggest name to take the stand perhaps was Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi is the stage name for Scott Muscudi, and he had a very brief relationship with Cassie Ventura. He stated that his Porsche was set on fire with a Molotov cocktail. Now, I felt that Sean Combs' defense did a pretty good job at cross-examining him, because one of the things that they were asking him was, well, do you have proof? Like, do you have video proof? Were you there? Did somebody see him? Which all of the answers to that was no, that he doesn't have concrete proof. But the reason why he suspected it was Sean Combs was because, when Sean Combs found out that he was seeing Ventura, he made threats about blowing up his Porsche, and then his Porsche was blown up. But his home security cameras, there was no footages of, who the perpetrator assailant was. Sean Combs' defense team also got Kid Cudi to admit that, he felt like perhaps Ventura was only with him just to kind of use him to make Sean Combs jealous. That seems to be like what his defense was leading towards, and he more or less admitted that that's how he felt too, that he did feel that. Other people to take the stand during week 2 was a male escort with the name of Punisher. And, he stated that he had multiple freak-offs with Sean Combs and Ventura. Combs' defense team also did a pretty good job, I felt, during cross-examination. The escort, the Punisher, he stated to his knowledge anyway that Ventura was enjoying herself, that she didn't seem as if she was being forced or coerced into it, that she seemed to be a willing participant of it. Someone else to take the stand was Ventura's mother. She stated that there was an altercation outside of Ventura's apartment where she tried to hit Combs because he had taken Ventura's phone. Eventually, he did give the phone back, but then he drove off in Ventura's car. After one of their breakups, that he had threatened that he would release videos of Ventura. He wanted $20,000 because he felt that, I guess he had spent $20,000 worth, or what he felt was $20,000 worth of money on Ventura. She was, according to her, allegedly, she was threatened and blackmailed that he would release those videos. And Ventura's mother stated that she put a line of equity on her home so that she could get the $20,000 to give to him. Now, she also acknowledged, though, that Sean Combs did return the $20,000 to her. Someone else that took the stand was also the personal assistant of Combs, who he was the assistant for about 2 years or so. He did not seem to have a lot of interaction with Cassie, but again, I felt like Combs' defense also did a good line of questioning. They were able to bring up the fact that this personal assistant was questioned multiple times over missing expensive items. A Cartier watch was missing that he was suspected of, as well as money and other sort of things like that. So they did a pretty good cross-examination, I felt, especially of the personal assistant. Something else that was brought up during cross-examination was that the personal assistant actually grabbed the wrist of the personal chef of Sean Combs. So they were able to bring that up, as well as the fact that Combs had a sit-down meeting with the personal assistant where he wanted to know if it was true that he put his hand on the chef. And the personal assistant also, under the witness stand, acknowledged that Sean Combs said that you're not allowed to hit women, or you don't hit women, or whatever. So I felt like his defense team was able to bring up these inconsistency and these contradictions. And they also talk about Suge Knight's, that they saw him at a diner, that they went and grabbed guns. I mean, that guy's already in California in the state penitentiaries. That's neither here nor there. Those two, they've been beefing since the 90s, okay? Also heard from a former friend of Ventura. They met as teenagers at an agency for models and whatever. And she stated that she has not seen Ventura since an incident where Sean Combs had allegedly hit her on the head with a wooden handle. She said the falling out was from that incident, and she's had no communication with Ventura since that incident. And allegedly, according to her, Ventura approached her with basically hush money, $30,000, to basically forget about the incident, which she accepted. She also stated that she, as part of accepting that $30,000 payoff, she alleges that she was forced to sign an NDA as part of that settlement. She has also stated that she has seen Sean Combs physically abuse Ventura on multiple occasions. When she herself got physically attacked with a wooden handle, that was the last straw, and she hasn't had any sort of contact with Ventura since that incident. Dawn Richards continued her testimony from the first week. In the second week, cross-examination was pretty good in bringing up the fact that she has a pending lawsuit against Sean Combs. But despite those allegations that she makes in her lawsuit, throughout the years, she still had continued to try to work with him, which brings sort of inconsistencies into her stories. It was not someone that she was in a relationship with. She herself has still tried to seek out opportunities to work with him. Sean Combs is a big name in East Coast rap and hip hop and whatever, but there are other producers, other names that are just as big. For example, 50 Cent, he's East Coast. He found success with Eminem, a white rapper, who Eminem himself found success with Dr. Dre, a West Coast rapper. So there are other people, other producers, other entertainment rap moguls that she could have went to. I think they did a pretty effective job of showing that, despite your allegations of whatever, you still throughout the years, even after you claim that this incident happened, you still throughout the years try to gain opportunities to work with Combs. You still sought out yourself personally opportunities to work with Combs. So I think that was pretty effective. One thing that a lot of the media and the press was highlighting was the fact that Sean Combs's defense team did not cross-examine Ventura's mother. Now, the defense, their argument or their defense is that, yeah, Sean Combs is a woman beater and he's a pervert. And this is definitely a case of domestic violence and sexual assaults maybe, but this is not RICO charges. This is not prostitution. This is not blackmail. This is not organized crime. This is not the genre of organized crime. RICO charges are basically organized crime. And their whole entire defense basically is, yes, he is a woman beater, a pervert. This is a case of domestic violence and even a case of sexual assault, but this is not a case of RICO charges. This is not a case of racketeering or organized crime, prostitution, human trafficking, whatever. So I felt like, why would they need to cross-examine the mother? Like, they don't need to cross-examine the mother because they are not saying that he's not a woman beater, that he's not a pervert. They're saying that, yeah, the guy's a pervert and a woman beater, but yeah, this isn't what he's being charged with. So I felt like, that's probably why they felt that they don't need to cross-examine the mother. What did you guys think of the witness testimony so far in week 2? No cameras are allowed. What do you guys think so far of the witness testimony and of the prosecution and the defense? How effective do you think the prosecution is? How effective do you think the defense is? If you were on that jury, would you so far, after the conclusions of weeks 1 and 2, so far, would you convict? Not based on your feelings, but again, on the evidence, because that is what is required of us when we go and we become jurors and we judge our peers. Based on the evidence and the witness testimonies so far, which you convict on the charges that the government is presenting. The government is basically saying that Sean Combs is the equivalent of Al Pacino or John Gotti, that his Bad Boys Entertainment record label was basically like the Genovese family, the Gambino family, the whatever family. Okay, so do you feel that the government has made its case that Sean Combs was running a criminal organization under the guise of his Bad Boys record label? Or do you feel that the defense has made its argument, yeah, the guy's a shitty guy, he's a freaking woman beater and a pervert who loves his baby oil, but this isn't what the case is. This isn't what the government is charging with him. The government isn't charging him with domestic abuse, and the government isn't charging him with sexual assault. Those are not federal charges. Those are state charges. So do you feel, if you were in that jury, that the defense has made its argument? Is the defense able to convince you so far in week 2, at the conclusion of week 2 into this? Let me know, guys. And look, why isn't he being charged with domestic assault or sexual assault? Unfortunately, in the state of New York, these sort of crimes have statutes of limitation. I feel very strongly that the state wasn't able to do anything, and so that's why there are federal charges instead. But again, feds don't charge you for domestic violence or for sexual assault. Did the government overreach in their charges? And because of that, are they making their case? And again, our democracy dictates that we put our personal feelings aside and go with the law. So has the government made its case, or has the defense made its case so far?